calling to order, and our first thing is a salute to the flag. That we do. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right, so correspondence? No, okay, good. Public comment? Did anybody here sign up for public comment? Or just checking? No. Okay. So, because we don't have, we don't have to call for vote. We know we don't have a quorum. So we can't actually vote on anything, but we can go through the information. Yeah, okay, all right. So we'll skip the consent agenda because we can't vote on it. So we are ripping down to reports. And the first one is the Board of Ed. This is a little bit of a follow-up to our retreat to talk about the items that are on this list. So what we can do, the only one we were going to vote on is board goals. So let's start though with the review committee's priority. So everybody has the document on the various committees. And this was an attempt to make sure we didn't drop anything that we've been discussing over time. So did anybody have anything that they wanted to add or change? One change we did make already in some emails was to move the world language presentation to curriculum. That's where it was last year, rather than have it at the full board. Okay. Right. So we'll add that. And again, these are fluid documents. We don't have to. We're not voting on these. All right. Was there anything else that anybody had, especially from their committees, on any issues or anything you want added or didn't think it was supposed to be there? No? Okay. All right. So then the next document is the schedule of topics. Again, this is a fluid document in terms of changes that we make as we go through the year. And the only change, again, that's been identified as world language moving to curriculum instead of the September meeting. And because we go over the next set of topics, the most important, I think, one to look at is, we already know what we're looking at for September because it's in today's agenda, but October. To make sure we're not updating, we're not adding anything so that next month's meeting we know what we're talking about. Okay, everybody's good? Okay. All right, so any changes, anything that people think is missing from, or that we had discussed doing more often or less often or whatever, get those to Marcia and she will maintain this document. Okay, all right. Yep.
The only question, the school capacity review
Yep.
that we had discussed,
Yep.
is November soon enough given budgeting? Do you think that that's okay? I can't imagine if there's necessarily capital expenses, but if there is something changing the classroom layout, do you think that there's any reason to push that up a little bit or not?
So my first sense is that we have possibilities of, let's say enrollment really did boom even more again another year down the road this year. We have at least 2 rooms that we could open up. There are program rooms, the rooms that have programs, but those programs could go room to room instead of having their own space. And so we would have space within our building.
So not a capital request, but potentially a budget for teachers and other things.
So it could be a teacher thing, could be a teacher budget request versus a brick and mortar request.
Yep.
But I think this conversation is also live between the first selectman and town hall and myself in terms of letting them know that this is something we're talking about because the numbers keep showing it's something we have to talk about.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So then the next document is possible Board of Ed goals. Again, this is based on the retreat and other things. Since we're not, does anybody have anything that they would change about this? We'll obviously have to vote on it next meeting. But is there anything here that people, is there anything missing? Is there anything that people would change? goal 5, we didn't have any,
Oh, okay. Board
anything
goal
that we
5.
were
I
doing,
gotcha.
yeah, sorry.
That
Strategic
was
plan
our
goal
5th
5.
goal was. No except report.
Yeah, we're not doing anything.
We're not
That was
doing
our goal.
Got
Thank
it.
goodness, phew.
All right.
That was a good one. It's my favorite goal.
No, we can review more before the next meeting.
Okay, all right. So then we are up to PTO update, which I'm guessing is fairly slow during the summer, although they did have another book fair during the summer and was incredibly successful, as I understand it. So that's kudos again. We're up to you, Bob, superintendent's report.
Thank you. And before I start my report, I just will echo what you say. The PTO is just an unbelievable organization here. And besides another book fair, another successful book fair, they are funding a number of projects for us to enhance our facility. From last year's class gift as well as this year's class gift, they're giving us, am I saying this right, water bottle filling stations? Is that right? Refill stations. They're located in a couple places in the building, as well as a new climbing wall for our newly refurbished South Gym. Newly painted, and you should go down and take a look at it at some point. It's beautiful, and so we really appreciate the PTO's support and wonderful generosity. They're a great organization. So my report includes a number of things you've been hearing a little bit about, just some reminders. For board members, the CAPE CAPS convention is coming up November 16th and 17th. So we certainly encourage you to let us know if you plan on attending so we can register you. Also, our robotics Legos team will be there to display.
Thank you for just a
Please
second,
do.
I'm so sorry.
Sure.
When is the CAPES CAP registration due for the?
This 27th,
The
27th of
27th.
August.
Okay.
Early registration.
Okay.
Early registration.
For November, otherwise we pay more, so, okay, so if anybody, you just need to let Marcia know. It's November, like 13th or something?
November 16th, 17th
That's close.
is the, yeah.
Okay, and I'm sorry, and
No
robotics,
problem.
what was that?
And our robotics team has, we let CABE know about our robotics team and their success, and they're going to invite our students there to display their work. So that's really great, and so we're looking forward to having our students work, and our students hopefully as well, at the convention. As discussed in some of our recent board meetings, self-evaluation retreats, we're due for another policy audit by CABE, and so we have contacted CABE, and they are ready to do this for us, and hopefully it'll start in October, which will provide us with great information about where we should be making some changes in our policy online manual. Thanks to all our board members who participated in our board retreat on July 25th. Great discussion took place, and we appreciated the work of Bob Rader, the Executive Director of CABE, in facilitating our work. And as you know, our board goals have just been presented. That's some of the work that came out of our board retreat. Speaking of retreats, our administrative team also spent a couple days having an off-site retreat, planning for the new coming year, and so that was greatly appreciated by us as a group in terms of being able to get away and really plan and reflect on the year that we just went through. Bus services. So over the summer, we received a letter from one of our dear bus owner-operators, Dottie McCrum, indicating that she was going to be terminating and surrendering her bus route and contract. Dottie's been with us for eons, a long time. How many miles did you say, Marcia, that she's run up how many?
Somewhere between 800,000 and 1 million miles.
Yeah.
She's been a driver for 42 years.
Yeah, no oil changes either. And so that's amazing. So at any rate, Dottie is, we're just very proud of her and very appreciative of what she's done. She's one of our own and has given a high level of service. We put the bid for this out to our current 2 bus vendors, B&B and Chris Sorensen. We're very proud of the high level of service that both of our vendors provide to us. They are tremendous in what they provide. As you might remember, a couple years ago when Frank Avini terminated his route, we had a similar bid process, and it was awarded to the Sorensen Company, and through a similar process this past month, I'll be asking the board to take formal action, well, not at this meeting, but I guess on the next meeting, on awarding the contract to B&B. So congratulations to B&B, and we thank both of our vendors, and we thank Dottie very much so for all her years and many miles of service. We are continuing to work with the police department and our board attorney to make sure that our MOU, our Memorandum of Understanding regarding our SRO at Beecher Road School is up to date. And there's no content changes that are anticipated, but we are working on that to make sure that we can get ready to sign that. That will be signed by the chairs of the board here and the Woodbridge Police Commission as well. An independent facilities assessment has been ongoing throughout the course of this past year, and the district did contract with an outside consultant so we could review our facility and make sure we're maximizing the efficiencies and cost savings, as well as identifying any short and long-term needs as they relate to our annual capital budget submission. Jim Sisa is doing the assessment and expects to bring the final report to our September 24th facilities subcommittee meeting.
And Jim Sisa, in case everybody doesn't know, he is the facilities manager at Amity.
He is yes, he is at Amity. This is something outside of his Amity work,
Right,
but
right.
yes, he is at Amity servicing their 3 buildings, as oversees all of that. Summer programs, as you know, concluded several weeks ago. Both our Beecher programs and the Recreation Department programs continue to provide tremendous options and offerings to parents and families, and really meets the interests and needs and schedules of everybody. We really appreciate the dedicated staff that comes here every year to deliver the programs and the dedicated leadership that takes place. As you know, we have summer enrichment, extended day, special education, and our summer scholars program, including as well as the recreation. And enrollment numbers this year appear to follow past trends and very strong enrollment. So thank you for all the work that our summer program staff has helped us with this year. Our summer custodial work is just about done. Our staff has done yeoman's work. It's hard to clean this building when the building never sleeps. When the programs went right up to the first week of August, and there's only so many things you can clean in a building when everything else is being used. So our custodians are unbelievable in what they've been doing over the month of August. And so there's a few things we still have left to be done, but they'll get done, and we're very, very proud of the work they've accomplished, including moving from room to room, many different items, because teachers do move here and there, back and forth, cleaning, and also a lot of painting. So thank you very much for our custodians and our maintenance staff. Similarly, we've had a lot of work in the office has been done with a new registration process, and Mrs. Prisco will talk a little bit about that in a few moments, but we thank our office staff for the changes that has obviously caused for them in their positions. And we'll put that all together. We did recognize our summer office and custodial staff with a special lunch a few weeks ago. It is a means to say thank you for the extra efforts that take place during the summer. So we do appreciate all that they do for us. Our Enrichment Ad Hoc Committee had its first meeting on July 18th, right here in the library. The meeting was fairly well attended with a good exchange of information. The next meeting will be on August 29th at 6:30. Bonnie O'Regan from the Connecticut Association of the Gifted, also from the Greenwich Public Schools, will be bringing us some follow-up information. In terms of hiring, we have hired a number of new teachers. We hired Heather Minardi, who is our new STEAM teacher. Jason Nolan is a 4th grade teacher, Christina Conroy in grade 5, and Kathy Marler as our special education resource teacher. We also rehired in a full-time position now, Jeannie Tarleglio as a permanent and full-time technology teacher. So congratulations to all of them. And I would like to provide you as board members with this list of our complete certified staff list. So I know that was something that was of interest to you in terms of all the different positions and all the different names. So there it is. We're close to the end, so hang on. We had a lot of summer learning that went on for staff and administration, and one of the big things that happened was a responsive classroom training for new faculty and staff members, as well as some returning members, and that was led by Peter and Grace Halsey from August 6th through 9th. Faculty and staff participated in this on a voluntary basis, and we were glad to see a group of about 17 be part of that. Also, some of our administrative staff was able to go to UConn for one day of the Confortude Institute. That's the Institute on Gifted and Talented and Enrichment Learning, and we enjoyed that day very much so. In terms of summer work and summer curriculum work, Mrs. Prisco will bring you some information on that in a few moments during her report. Moving towards the end here, the Board of Selectmen meeting During my July presentation to the Board of Selectmen, I presented a letter formally requesting a supplemental appropriation of $97,000 for the year ending this past June 30th, 2018. And as you know, this request was based on unanticipated special education costs for the 17-18 year. The Selectmen had very few questions and subsequently approved this request. Speaking of dollars and cents, our business office made a very successful move to Town Hall in early July. Our business office staff has settled into a suite of 3 rooms down in the lower level of Town Hall and have done a great job of keeping the workflow going during this time. The Recreation Office has now transitioned into the former business office space, and it's freed up their former space for our school programming. We continue to expand our communication out to the public. As mentioned this past April during my communications report, we were looking at various other methods and means. So I have been able to secure a space and column in the Woodbridge Town News, and we've had 2 or 3 entries already there, and also am getting space in the First Selectmen's newsletter called News and Events. And we are also initiating the use of Instagram, but I will let Mrs. Sherman talk about that in a few moments. So at any rate, that pretty much brings it in my report. I hope that you are enjoying the bridge, which was mailed to all homes, and we are, believe it or not, welcoming back staff tomorrow. So welcome back to all staff members tomorrow, and students will be here next week.
So I don't want to go backwards or anything, but in terms of the bus situation, because we don't want to make anybody come here again, is there any questions or anything that anybody has about the bus changes?
And it is an agenda item a little bit later too.
Oh, it is?
Just so you know
Well,
that.
but we can't approve it.
It's going to be coming
No,
up.
we can't do
We
that.
can't approve it tonight, but
No.
it's under new business,
Okay.
under
All right.
4.1.
All right,
You
Okay.
can certainly ask the question if you want, but I
Yeah.
just mentioned that
Okay.
it'll be there as well.
all right. Let's put it in that. Did anybody have any questions for Bob? All of that information? Okay. All right, so now we have Gina and Lisa's report.
That'd be great.
You were hiding.
So thanks, everyone. I will just start with a reiteration about the PTO. The book fair was fantastic, but also we have several PTO volunteers coming in on Friday to make those wonderful first day student packets so that when the children come home on Monday, you will have lots to read. So we thank them for that. We had a great kindergarten bus ride today. So yes, I love that. We had over 80 children come to the bus ride today of our 109 kindergarten students. So it was fantastic. David from B&B, great, and no criers. We kind of sat on the floor, all the children in the middle, the parents on the outside. They learned all about bus safety. And when Mr. Gilbert asked, "So anyone here coming to kindergarten?" Every little hand went up in the air. So it was, and we had it right in our North Gym this year. So it worked out kind of a smaller setting, and it worked out perfectly. So again, that's something that we do for families. We encourage people to take the bus. And as always, we transport so many students every day, and we're very thankful that we have that opportunity. We are reminding parents again, day-to-day changes, bus to bus, play dates, and those things, they really just can't happen for the safety of our students and because the buses are full. So permanent arrangements that you would go through B&B Transportation and certainly let us know, but day-to-day, we have children who still come down with bus notes. I'm going home with Joey today because, for whatever reason. So we have them call home and we say, need to either pick them up or find another way to do that. So we really thank you for your help with that. We also had new teacher and intern orientation today. So a thank you to the many staff who came in to speak to our new teachers. And we also had our interns with us, both our interns from the University of Bridgeport and the interns that will be working with Dr. Rose from Southern. So we had a great group. Ms. Mammon, Ms. Sherman, myself were there. We had some of our curriculum folk there. Joe DePalma representing Responsive Classroom. We talked about information overload. We did let them know ahead of time that it would be a lot, but it really provides a foundation before they join us next week. So thank you to that. Kindergarten bus, right? Also, our registration that Bob was mentioning. So before instant alert, you had to go on and register and sign on and pick what you wanted. So with Swift K-12, as soon as you are enrolled at Beecher Road School and you are in our Power School system, you are automatically receiving the notifications. What is different, what is similar, but you will get all the emergency ones, but you can personalize how you want them, what you want them. Do you want them email, phone, text? All the green announcements, such as the book fair is next week, family night is Thursday. We have a minimum day for October and April conferences. So those are all the green. You can adjust that, say, green announcements, I just want them to my email. I'll check those. Weather announcements, I want those to my home phone, to my cell phone, to my email, to my text. I want them all. So that's, and once you are in as a student and parent at Beecher Road, you don't have to do anything different to register for Alert Solutions, Swift K-12. So that's the difference between Honeywell and our new system. So thank you to all of the parents who updated their demographic information through the parent portal. We've had several hundred already do so. We ask that you continue to do so. It's been efficient for us so far, and having all that updated information, phone numbers and emails, is always beneficial. Summer curriculum. So we had a busy summer. Spent a great deal of time working on the science curriculum, NGSS, the next generation science standards. So there was a transition from Dr. Stebinger. We will miss her greatly, but Heather Minardi. So there was time for both adults to work with the teams. We worked grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, and grade 6. We never say a curriculum is done. It's kind of always a living, breathing document, but those grades are predominantly completed for the varying units. There's some assessment work that needs to be tweaked. As we experience the curriculum and teachers reflect on lessons that went really well or activities that maybe didn't go so well, there's always some adjustments, but the foundation is completed, and we always look to improve our differentiation within that. So what other things can we do for our students who are moving a little quickly? What other things can we do to support students who might not be? But the foundations and the templates are completed in those grades. In math, our work was predominantly in first grade, and they will be finishing that up in the very beginning of the school year. Our focus this year will be kindergarten and 5th grade. So we thank the support from ACES that we get in working with our teachers. We even had some work in our library standards this year. So grade 1 and grade 3, both Ms. Paco and Ms. Patrick were here doing some work to make sure that we have this wonderful library and, research skills and the transfer of what is happening here into the classroom. We want to make sure it's aligned with the standards. So there was some work done there this summer. I think that does it for me. So
I just have a quick question. I know last year the intern situation, we were a little short initially. We're good? We have...
Our goal is to have 10 interns.
Okay.
We are at 7.
Okay.
Last year we never got to 10 either, and we had to fill in the gap with building level subs who were employed the full year, 4 days a week. And we probably will have to do that for 2 or 3 of the positions that we have remaining. So that's where we are right now.
Okay.
It seems like there's fewer students going into the profession, and getting 10 is not as easy as it was, and there's a lot of districts like us who are looking for the same kind of service, the same kind of resource. So that's where we are right now. I'm assuming the 7th one.
7th one was a go, yes. 7th
Okay,
one was a
that's
go.
good.
So unless we get one more, we'll, as Bob said, be looking at. And we have a pool of candidates for the building substitutes, some returning
Good.
folks
That's
who
nice.
already
Yep.
know Beecher, and some 1 or 2 that might be new.
Okay.
Any other questions for me?
So Mrs. Sherman and
Nope, I'm
Mrs.
going to
Mammon?
turn it over to her
Okay,
unless there's
good.
something else.
Okay, good.
So,
I just had one other
Yep.
quick question. The science grade 6 curriculum, I know that the middle school is involved in the exact same process with the new standards and everything. Are we,
So they're bands, so 6th, 7th, 8th grade is a band. So we tend to teach multiple domains: physical, life, earth, So we are currently remaining within the life sciences in 6th grade. It's what, we've had communication with the middle school, but that's where we currently are staying, in the life sciences in 6th grade. So we are in communication with them.
Okay. I know it's a lot of changes with the standards, the changes.
And currently, they have not shifted, to my knowledge, like one grade more of a physical science, another grade more of the earth science. So they, to my knowledge, at this point, they haven't shifted to say, oh, we'll have a little bit of each in each grade. So they are remaining, so that's why we stayed with the life.
No, I was going to say something. Till we're on. I was going to maybe read those 7 little things, but I'll wait until
I might show them on the principal's message,
I
but
won't.
people will have to read it with a little bit of humor. So I'm going to turn it over. There are still Ms. Sherman and Ms. Mammon to speak. Ms. Sherman's going to talk a little bit about Instagram. And then Ms. Mammon's going to talk a little bit about our pre-K.
Pre-K as well as our new classroom.
Okay, there you go.
Gina and Bob know how excited I am about this, which is why they're letting me share. So we now have an Instagram account at Beecher. It is BRS Owls. It is a closed private account. That means the only way that you can get into it is to request and be approved by Gina, and I both have access right now to it. And we're also asking in our parent communication, which will be sent out through Bob's First Aid newsletter and Gina's First Principals newsletter, we're saying that once you request access, you also have to email to let us know who you are, because some people have some people's Instagram names are like so obvious and easy that we could figure it out, and some are bizarre and you don't know who they are. So we're also saying that you have to email to let us know your Instagram name, your real name, and the children that attend Beecher. Right now, this is an account only for Beecher parents and staff. We are not allowing anyone else to sort of have access to it. And it's also an account where we have turned off all ability to comment. So there's going to be no back and forth or exchange. And of course, we will be very careful and cautious with what we are posting. So far, there's only 2 posts up that are just to get started, just to get going. So we are very excited and hoping that all of you will join us.
So what kinds of things are you thinking that you're going to be posting? Like, give me an example.
Oh, good question.
What's for lunch?
Yeah.
It could be a picture of the salad
Yeah.
bar saying, what a great lunch opportunity you have here to be healthy.
Right.
Or
We were really thinking about it as sort of a peek into Beecher Road School. Like today was the kindergarten bus ride, so I took a picture of the bus and I just said, today was our kindergarten bus ride for our littlest learners, and how they had so much fun. So we're really thinking about it as a way of sort of driving forward the work that we're doing in pictures. So that's kind of where we're going with it. Yeah. Any other questions? BRS Owls, you can find us.
And if you're a board member but don't have children in the school, you might be allowed access.
The board chair might be able to get in this one.
I was thinking Lynn. Right, I was thinking the same thing, Margaret, thank you.
What's a teacher? You're always a teacher here.
I get to share some exciting news. The preschool program is NAEYC accredited, and what that stands for is the National Association of Education of Young Children, which is quite an honor. They sent out a survey to the parents, and there was overwhelmingly positive response from that. So that was really exciting news. And then the second piece of information I had to share was, you heard Bob mention that there was a new classroom going into what was the old Parks and Rec place. That is a new classroom that Megan Saunders is going to lead, and it's for helping students who need a little extra support with social and emotional needs. So they're going to work on some sensory, some coping, and it's really going to be an environment where they're supporting those students. So that will be starting up this year and down in the Parks and Rec.
And I know how hard it is to get approved by any UIC, so that's great. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Great. Very good. Thank you. Did anybody have any questions for Lisa or Cheryl if they didn't go far? Okay. All right. Do we have professional development on here? I know you sent out all of the professional development materials. I just want to make sure people looked at those and. Okay. No.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
if there's any questions, we certainly can answer those.
Okay.
That starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
7:30.
Fully, 100%. Hit the ground running.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. All right, so we're up to upcoming meetings, and we can skip the world language unless there's things that people have, oh, go ahead, Lynn.
Yeah, to have in the presentation. So even though it's going to be looked at in the curriculum, I think we should have an opportunity if there's something people are looking for that they want to see in that presentation. And I actually do.
Okay.
So one of the things that I'd like to see included is what's being done to meet the needs of the advanced students in world language. And if they could give us some idea of the mechanism they have in place for communication with the middle school. I know that that's ongoing, but if they could spell that out for us, I think that would be really helpful to have in the presentation. So those are 2 things I had.
And the only other thing I had, assuming that the presentation is very similar to what we've seen in the past, which I like at least that format, is now we've had the number of units per grade for multiple years now, right? Is this like our 3rd year that we've had the, you know, like how we added,
Second,
you know,
second grade.
right, and we,
has to.
okay, all right, so just, you know, just kind of any information on the number of sessions we now have per grade and whether, you know, like what we're seeing as a result of those changes, you know, how is that impacting what we're seeing as the kids, you know, age up?
So second grade was the grade that, I'm sorry, I'm leaving.
That's okay.
Second grade was the grade that we did add. Other than that, we haven't made any changes.
Okay, so
it's just
second
one
grade.
30-minute section, one 30-minute session for second grade was the addition. And then kept.
Right. Okay, do you have anything else in world language? Okay.
I would just sort of echo a little bit of what you mentioned about that. Is there any way that we can get a little, you know, sort of what's offered in the so I know it's offered in the middle school, but maybe sort of just to show, because I think the biggest complaint people have when they leave Beecher is that they have a lot of language and then they go over the colors and the, you know, like they start in 7th grade and they almost go back to what they were doing in 2nd and 3rd grade here at Beecher. So I don't know if maybe you can get a little info on what, you know, how our curriculum aligns with the middle school and what maybe we might be able to offer or suggest to the middle school. It just, and the same thing goes is that part of the reason is we're not aligned with Orange and Bethany in terms of language. And is there any opportunity for us to work with, you know, Bethany and Orange on world language to say it would be great if we did a little more alignment so that the kids are prepared. You know, everyone's doing the same math, everyone's doing the same English, little differences here and there, but world language is something that we're very different, but we feed into the same district. And there's a hesitancy to not combine the kids from Bethany and Woodbridge into joint classes. So, you know.
In world language, you mean at the middle school?
Yeah, in the middle school. In general, the teams are split up pretty evenly. You know, everything is split up to sort of integrate the kids. But that's not always good from a standpoint of a subject matter that we don't have an equal basis.
And I know that Stephanie and Emily can speak to, there's a new world language teacher at Bethany Community, and they've already had conversation with that person.
Okay,
So.
great.
Bethany has sent their teachers over here to shadow our teachers here and there, and yes, they indeed they have a new teacher, and they are looking to try to connect the dots. Okay, yeah, but those are good questions, and those are reoccurring themes, I have to say. I think I remember some of those questions when I interviewed here. So, I guess we gotta work on that.
Okay. The next category is the SBAC presentation. Again, assuming that the structure is similar to what we've seen in the past, one of the areas that we've seen that you've given us is the movement by groups of students, you know, cohorts by category. So, you know, even if in total, you know, something was true, this percentage of students did move from, I don't remember what the names are.
Right, like the 4 categories,
Right.
we want to know if the kids started at a 4,
Did they
where did
stay?
those 4 kids move? What did the 3 kids, you know, like how much movement in and out of their ranges occurred? I'm sure you remember those questions.
can't stay
Dear, but I know, this is really.
Not just averages.
Not
Really-
just,
Not just averages, but really looking at
so the
cohorts.
growth that you were talking about is not a report that we have right now. Right now, all we have is the averages. The growth report comes out later.
Okay.
If I'm understanding your question.
So we only have averages, we don't have like quartiles, we don't have,
We may end up having percentages for each of the
We-
levels,
Right,
Each of
we
the
have
4
percentages,
levels.
percent at level 3 and 4, percent at level 1, percent at level 2, but in terms of student A in 3rd grade,
right?
Who was
student A in 4th grade, that's a growth
We don't have.
report.
We don't
So,
have that
and
yet.
when do we usually get the growth?
That's in the March accountability.
Yeah, that's the accountability. So right now, all we have is average vertical scale score. So we can show what Margaret was talking about, grade 3 to grade 4 to grade 5.
Yeah, that's fine.
We can show that, but the report that you're talking about comes out in the spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
As long as we don't just do averages, I just don't like looking at averages. I like looking at, the number of kids in each level, where they were 3rd grade, where they were 4th grade is fine.
Okay.
We don't have to look at the individual kids.
Cohorts.
It's just-
Gotcha.
I know what the-
And then, anything based on the information that you already have, on the aspects, what are anything that you're targeting, any action plans,
Yep.
anything that you've already, looked at and said, okay, this is where we need to, like, we did great, this is, areas. And then, I think we got the achievement gap, the numbers on that, so
For the that comes with the accountability.
that does too.
So the one we just saw for achievement gaps was from the previous year's data.
Oh, okay.
What you'll be seeing in September is the data that's fresh from the window from
May.
basically April and May
Yeah.
testing
Okay.
time.
But
Okay,
it won't have that.
it won't have that
It
yet.
won't have that
Okay.
information yet.
Okay, all right, so
All right.
anything
Yep.
that you've seen so far,
Yep.
and I always get mixed up about when this stuff comes,
We do too
is,
sometimes.
do you? Okay, I don't know. But, yeah, anything that you've already seen and
And
you've
any
already
targets
said,
that we're
this is
looking at.
like, something we need to look at, or
Sure.
this is something we need to like definitely keep doing,
Yep.
anything like that.
Okay.
Is there, yes, Lynn?
You're done?
I'm done.
Okay. In last year's report, you talked about one of the next steps being coaching in grades 2 and 6 in math. Did that happen? It did. So, like, what was the outcome of that? I'd be interested in that.
Okay.
Do we see any, bang for our buck in that area? Would be helpful.
Okay. The next topic is open choice, and really this discussion at this time of the year is more budget related. In the spring, we actually identify how many slots, but we plan for, what do we think we're going to do and what will be the impact, depending on what we decide on, budget kinds of things. So we did have a couple things already come in from people who couldn't attend tonight. Bob, I don't know if you have those handy.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. I'll find it here. Okay.
So what we're looking for, learn more about the direct explanation regarding how the subsidy in Connecticut for open choice students runs through the budget process, the percentages of open choice students at neighboring districts, open choice background in terms of how many dollars do we get if you have 5% of your population versus 6% of your population, and so on and so forth. And what is our current enrollment, and what is our current class sizes, and also the population growth of the school over the last 5 years. So those are some of the items that board members have emailed in.
And I would also like to hear a little bit about our philosophy in terms of, to have children be successful in the program. We've kind of said we'd like them to start in kindergarten. We've made exceptions when there's siblings and things like that. But, really, what's our philosophy on how to make the program successful, both for the children coming into the program and for our staff, in terms of, the background of the child. And then, I know we've talked about school capacity. That's the other, thing. And you've already kind of talked about it tonight, but, maybe just repeat the same information about, we basically got the ability to create 2 more classrooms without having a huge impact on programming and work.
I think you might have said this already, but just a current breakdown of our diversity in the school, like what we have currently, maybe what we had if you can get that data from, say, 5 years ago. And then I would also like to see if you can find out from an open choice perspective, who are eligible candidates for open choice. I think it's just anyone from New Haven. It's not specifically any specific ethnic diversity. It's just
It's any parents who want to sign their kid up, we put them in the lottery, basically.
right, and it's a lot. And there's no choice based on anything other than just you get drawn.
I don't believe so, I'll check, but I don't believe so.
Okay.
And that program runs through ACES, so they're the organization that actually administers the
Yeah.
program. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Did you have anything, Megan? No. Okay. Nothing. Okay. And then teacher evaluation plan overview. This was more, again, a reminder of, what we do for this, and also in light of the surveys, the staff surveys that we had, a little bit about, what we do, how much we do. We know there's been requests for more, so,
More feedback and coaching.
right. And then the thing that I think is helpful without, obviously, we're not revealing anything about any individual, but just the numbers of the total number of certified staff, what categories, are people slotted into, whether there's comments about, our ability to support, the evaluation plan with the number of administrators versus the number of certified staff and other staff, and so, just kind of some ideas about the ability to take on this process and do it effectively and provide the kind of feedback that people are looking, an idea of, whether we're in a position to handle all of this, if we need something else.
I'm assuming that you probably want, just also, in addition to what you were describing here, just a little overview of, typical teacher gets, this many formal observations, this many informal observations, that kind of a thing. This percentage of goals factors into their final rating, things like that. Because there's a whole matrix,
Right.
I know from a past.
Right, I know it's very
presentation.
complicated.
Yeah.
But also, I know that we've talked about in the past, what are the outcomes that are looked at, and then there's a component of the evaluation that includes some feedback from, I think, parents, which we use the parent survey for, I think. So a little bit about what are the things that we're looking at, and then how do we get those things in order to feed into the process. I don't know if anybody had anything else on that. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Facilities did not meet, but we are meeting November 24th. Finance.
No, we're meeting
September 24th. I'm sorry, what did I say? November. Well, that was just wrong. Okay, not even close. Finance, I know we can't vote on the items tonight, so I don't know if we want to just hold them, or you want to say anything about them, Steve? Nothing we can do. All righty then. Curriculum, I know we haven't met over the summer, but
We have not, but tentatively, we're looking at September 20 for a meeting, and we'll get back to you.
yeah, okay. Right now, it's at
Surprise.
4:30, is that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well,
And I think maybe
that's
next
what we're
month,
looking at this
because
time, yeah.
we didn't have everybody here, and we probably won't necessarily be all settled in September, but we do need to talk about the, facilities at least,
And
because,
when everybody's
yeah.
going to be meeting.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, policy, Bob mentioned that we're doing the re-review of all of our policies.
Kate has signed on to be able to do that review for us starting around October. I will check in with them in terms of if there's anything that's really
Pressing.
If pressing will move things along, but we may be well advised to wait for them to go through their review and then determine where we want to spend our time.
Right. And they would alert us, like the legislation, like I know
Right.
in one of the key
Yes.
things with that dental,
Yep.
thing, like,
Mhm.
so they alert us whenever there's something that we
Right.
have to react to more immediately than the whole.
Right. Right. There's a lot there.
Ad hoc enrichment, Steve, I don't know if you wanted to say anything about the first meeting.
So we had our first meeting, I think it was well attended, it was great, we had a very good discussion. I think we basically ended the meeting with sort of plans for follow-up, and so at our next meeting, we have the Connecticut Association with a Gifted is coming, give a talk about some of the things that I think Bobby spoke to them about.
Right, yeah.
Sort of the list of things that we wanted to make sure they covered in that meeting.
And that's coming up next week, the 29th?
The
Okay.
Wednesday, yes, next Wednesday.
Okay, all right. ACES, as you know, I advocated, so that one's easy. Cabe, anything?
Mostly, Bob already mentioned the policy updates was a big one, but we have that review going, and the CAPE CAPS convention. Just wanting to encourage folks to attend. I went last year, it was great. This year they have some pretty cool things on topics, so.
And some of our kids will be there, that's so exciting. We've never seen our kids. Okay, new business. Can't approve the bus contract. Okay, public comment? Is there anybody who signed up, snuck over while you were not looking?
Did you want to act?
Uh-oh.
In terms of the bus contract, I think I
Oh.
kind of interrupted you before.
Oh, see-
Whether anybody members had
Yeah,
questions.
or,
regarding-
yeah, I mean, I just don't want any, like, I feel bad, you came and, and so if you had anything you were planning, I mean, you're certainly more than welcome to come again. I know how exciting these meetings are, so like, standing room only, but if there was anything that you wanted to say, or if anybody had any
We're certainly
questions.
grateful for the opportunity again, and even though you're not voting tonight, we'll still show up on Monday.
Oh. Thank you.
I promise.
Thank you. And you had a good bus run today with the
Yes, we had a good bus run
Yeah.
today, and your bus runs have been posted on the website since August 13th, and I haven't really gotten any concerns from parents, just questions, and I think it's all going
And this year,
smoothly.
we don't have any roads closed, and we don't have to move all the buses,
We're not
like
gonna allow
remember
that.
last year, like that was
We're not going to
crazy.
allow that to happen.
I hope
Okay.
not.
I do want
hope
to say
not.
that, but in speaking about that, that brings back a memory of many conversations in the early mornings or late at night over the phone with Beth, who acts as our transportation coordinator. I just want to thank her for that. It's a job that she does and does very, very well.
Thank you.
So she coordinates whether it's her own buses or whether it's the Sorensen buses or was Dottie's buses. She coordinates the whole, just everybody and communicates with everybody and does a very good job of it. And
Thank you
there were
very
some
much.
very, very, very touch and go moments last year when we were having trees down all over the place. We wanted to get school going back again. It would have been very easy to say, well, let's just take another snow day or another whatever day you want to call it. But through a lot of thinking and a lot of creativity, appreciate what she was able to do to help us. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, no public comment, I take it. I guess we can't vote to leave, but we're just going to adjourn. So, thank you, everybody. We're adjourned. We're gonna pay.